Can you come here for a second? I want to show you something.
Until it's Christmas, Christmas time, Christmas time.
Leave logic behind.
So we meet this girl Emma, who's one of those super happy, cheerful people who just has the perfect life.
Oh yes, I am so happy.
So she's got the perfect job with the perfect company, and even has a boss that doesn't micromanage her.
You stayed late every night and were the first one here every morning. Emma, finally.
Apparently, she did a great job on a campaign for shoes, so a designer wants her to run his marketing for his high-end watches. He's making a new holiday exclusive watch series and wants to launch the campaign on Christmas Eve. And Emma's problem with this is that she doesn't have much time to work on it.
Oh, really?
How are people supposed to buy the watches for Christmas if they don't even know about them until the night before?
See, that should be her issue with the job. But no, neither one of these advertising professionals seem to think that this is a terrible plan.
Idiots.
Everything I do has to be logical.
But to get inspiration, her boss is making her go back to Vermont for Christmas, hoping that freezing her ass off for a while will help. She then tells her she's a workaholic with no love life, and that's why she likes her.
Who needs romance when you have all this?
Well, Emma goes home to tell her sister that she's coming back for the holidays, but apparently her boss's comment really got to her, and she asked Bronwyn if her boss was right. And she's like, yeah, it's been at least a year since you've even mentioned a guy. But then she gets jealous of her sister because her life turned out so great because she got married and had kids. But her sister's like, hey, shut up. You're rich and successful in LA. But then her sister's family comes in to say hi, and the Skype gods bail her out by losing connection.
Right in time.
The next day, she looks for inspiration for the campaign for wristwatches by going to an antique shop and looking at pocket watches. But somehow, the pocket watch she sees is the one she gave her college boyfriend.
The same one you gave him for Christmas to finally tell him you love him?
The shop owner comes over and tells her about true love and how the heart never forgets. And she wants to know how much he wants for the watch. And he tells her it's really expensive, but she can just have it.
I don't think giving away merchandise is a very sound business plan.
So she calls her sister again to tell her about it, and she thinks it's a sign that she needs to reconnect with her ex-boyfriend.
Seems like fate to me.
So after being on the phone all night telling each other how they can't wait to see each other, when she shows up the next day, her sister's like, get out. You're staying in a hotel.
And that's just something you forgot to mention to me?
When she gets there, she rings the bell at the front desk, and a man immediately pops out, but apologizes for making her wait too long. So after he tells her that the hotel's been booked for months, he grabs her key, but all of the other ones are still there. Since this dude's also the mayor, she asks him why this is the last year for the Vermont Christmas Festival. He says that they don't have enough funding, but also that people come from all over to go to it. So she goes down to enjoy the festival and bumps into this little girl who's passing out flyers for the Christmas play.
What kind of a rat bastard idiot would schedule a live show on a Christmas Eve?
Her dad's directing it, who of course is Emma's ex. And when he walks over, we see that things are a bit awkward between them.
Hi.
Emma.
But that's broken up when we see how dumb his daughter is when she asks how he knows someone from his own hometown.
I hate myself for being so stupid.
She also finds out that they're staying at the same bed and breakfast because Bronwyn cyberstalked the guy and found out where he was staying.
He has a private account, so I had to make a fake one to see what he's been up to.
And she justifies it by saying it was fate that there was a last-minute cancellation. And her parents are surprisingly on board with her sister setting him up. You know, because in these stories, light stalking is considered cute.
Good for you, honey.
The next morning, Emma tries to sneak past Fletcher, but Thomas, the innkeeper slash mayor slash waitress, yells for her, and she's pressured into joining Lola and Fletcher for breakfast.
Sharing a meal is mandatory.
And then she gets pressured by Lola to spend the day with them. So even though she only agreed to stay in the B&B to focus on the ad, she puts her job aside to hang out with them all day. Fletcher asks about her job in LA, to which she says she's not sure if she likes it there anymore. Because who wouldn't want to work for a boss who gives you high-end projects that can land you a partner spot?
Double the hours, but double the pay.
But Fletcher says he's not feeling his situation either. He's lost all inspiration and might get dropped by his agency. He's also thinking about moving back from London, which is funny because for growing up her entire life in England, Lola has a very Canadian accent.
I can't live somewhere without snow. Snow is my favorite.
Who the fuck are you? You sound like one of those James Bonds.
So they arrive at the theater where they meet this guy Noel, who looks a lot like the antique shop guy in LA, and he tells them that not only is this the last year for the festival, but this is the last year for the theater too. They tell him that this is the first place that Fletcher directed a play, and Emma wrote all the music for it.
Even though I have severe stage fright.
So Lola wants her to write songs for the play they're already doing that already has music for it. But Fletcher tells her that writing original stuff is hard. But when Emma says she's too busy anyway, Fletcher jumps on her. So now she feels like crap.
I hate to tell you this, but that is the unfortunate part of being an adult.
The next morning, she bumps into Fletcher's mom and gets conned into dropping her work and going out with them again, after Catherine mentions that she can't bake.
I've always been terrible at baking.
But when they go to get cookies, we find out that she's been trying to get this lady's cookie recipe for years.
With no such luck.
And then when Catherine asks about her love life, Fletcher has to be snarky again.
Fletcher.
And this comment keeps Emma awake, and she goes to the theater to play piano. Fletcher walks in right after she starts playing, because what else is he gonna do at 2 a.m.? Sleep?
She's going to need a cardiologist, that's right.
Well, he tells her that he hasn't written anything original in 3 years since his wife died, but a man in England that kinda looks like the theater owner gave him some words of wisdom about time. So she brings up that she found his watch, and he tells her that he sold it last year when he was in LA, meaning that he was single when he decided to hawk the thing, instead of calling her after he held onto this thing through his entire marriage.
Sometimes we have to sacrifice what we love for the most sensible outcome.
But her finding it against all odds is the inspiration for his new play. Well, that and the time advice.
There's never enough time to satisfy a woman.
I should probably get off.
The next morning, Fletcher's already written the first draft of his watch play and wants her to make a poster for him. So she ignores her work again to proofread a script and make him a poster.
Why would she make those?
Oh, right. Because Fletcher has a rough idea for a story, they're scrapping the Christmas Carol altogether, and they're going to perform whatever the hell he ends up writing before Christmas Eve.
But this is a Christmas show.
Well, Charles Dickens would have wanted to see her nipples.
It's not that simple.
So typically, they would have already been casting and blocking and building sets and all sorts of crap like that before the show. But Thomas likes to keep people away from work.
There's an ice sculpting competition happening today.
Not really sure why. But since they haven't even held auditions yet, I'm sure it'll be fine.
They've been advertising his play for weeks.
So while the girls are hanging flyers, Lola opens up to Emma about her feelings towards her mom's death, and Fletcher overhears.
No need to be a pussy about it.
He goes to take a look at the posters and asks her to email him a copy to send to the newspaper. But I'm not sure why a world-famous director needs to look for actors by passing out flyers on the street.
Would you like to audition for the Christmas watch?
Let alone putting an advertisement in a newspaper that no one reads anymore.
Poor people don't buy papers?
People don't buy papers, period.
He's a big deal, you know.
A wonderfully talented director.
I know. He's a pretty big deal. I hope people come to the auditions.
Anyway, Lola keeps handing out flyers and gives one to a hot girl who looks at Fletcher and is like, hubba, I will be there. And then Fletcher turns around and asks Emma to be there too.
Doesn't she have like a lot of work to do?
Oh gosh, I was just procrastinating my work.
That night, her boss tells her to email the client for an update, but she hasn't done crap since she got there. You know, because Fletcher and his family have been taking up all of her time.
What, have we been distracting you?
So she fires off a quick brush-off note to buy her some time.
I am still working hard.
That is not convincing.
So apparently the play that he's writing only has 2 characters, Arthur and Margot. And the ladies that audition are terrible. Until the hot chick comes in and does okay. So after she inflates his ego a little bit,
It might be your best work yet.
they just give her the part.
Well, what about all the guys that tried out?
Oh, nobody gives a shit about them. Emma has some competition now.
Yeah, all eyes are gonna be on me.
In fact, Emma shows up the next day to spy on him and ends up talking to Noel about fate. He tells her that everything happens for a reason. So by this logic, God wanted Fletcher's wife to die in a fiery car crash so they could get back together.
You gotta watch out for the foreigners because they plant gremlins in their machinery.
Sounds like fate to me.
But Fletcher sees her, and Noel disappears like a fart in the wind. When she gets up on stage, she tells him that his music sucks, and he needs an original song. And he's like, well, can you do that for me too, since you're clearly not working on this watch campaign? He also says that he needs to tweak the script a little bit, because the actors don't have chemistry, and he's gonna need her to look over those changes too.
Don't you have a big deadline for work?
Later that night, her boss calls her to tell her that the client loved what she sent to him. Apparently, she attached a file to her bullshit email to him without even realizing it, and it just happened to be the flyer for the play.
It must have been fate.
And of course, this bullshit works out perfectly.
Loved the tagline, "This Christmas time stands still."
Which to me sounds like the watch is broken, but what do I know?
You don't know anything.
He also wants to know why she sent him a script too. She comes up with some crap about using his watch in the play and having it live streamed on all of his social media. And instead of realizing that she sent the stuff by mistake, and that's why his new ad has audition times and an address for a small theater in Vermont, he's like,
I think it's brilliant.
and he's even coming himself to film it.
You know these eccentric types? They will stop at nothing to get their vision executed.
She goes to tell Fletcher the good news, but he doesn't want to hear it.
My opinion doesn't really matter.
Emma also catches that guy Noel watching him decorate the tree.
Which is also very, very creepy. You know that, right?
When they get back to the hotel, she tells him about the mix-up, and he thinks that she's just using him to get ahead at work. So despite the fact that she's been ignoring her own work to help him with his project, he gets mad because she accidentally found a way to promote his project in a way that benefits her too.
So incredibly frustrating.
Well, this upsets her, so she needs to talk to her sister, who tells her that she needs to tell Fletcher how she feels, so she's gonna do that in the morning. But when she goes to his room, she hears him and the hot chick saying that they think they love each other.
Yes! Yes, 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 yes!
So she runs off.
Or do you think it's just a coincidence?
Oh gee, I wonder if it turns out to be some kind of crazy misunderstanding.
Well, see, the main girl's problem is telling people how she feels. So naturally, everybody else in the story has to be super open about their feelings. So there's no way this is the standard middle of the story mix-up that happens in every single romantic comedy.
There's no such thing as a coincidence.
Well, that night, he comes to apologize and give her a new draft for her to look over.
Uh-huh.
That is quite a coincidence.
At the rehearsals, the hot chick is flirting with Fletcher, so his mom tells him that he's being a dick by letting her do it in front of Emma.
Alright.
And he's like, what about you, Mom? You've been single since I was 6.
That's different. I was busy raising you.
Did she forget she has a granddaughter?
Well, either that, or it's some sexist bullshit where a guy can't raise a kid alone.
He'd be better off living in a dumpster than living with you.
Oh, I appreciate that, Dad.
So Fletcher goes to find her, but I guess he went to go take a shit first because he's coming from the wrong direction. But she doesn't want to talk, so he gives her some shit about how she never says what she's feeling. So she fires back, telling him that she didn't break up with him for a job in LA. She did it because she knows he got a fellowship in London and didn't want to hold him back.
You would have followed me to LA instead of going to London to pursue your dreams.
You know, because he would have turned it down for love. And of course, there wouldn't have been a damn thing for a wannabe director to do in Los Angeles.
LA? Cool. My dad goes there for meetings sometimes.
So the next morning is Christmas Eve, and a storm's hitting really hard. Lola's worried that no one's gonna see the play, but Fletcher doesn't even care. She also thinks that he should get with Emma because he's been sad since her mom died, but he's been smiling more since he's been around her, to which he says,
Sure you're 10 years old?
So that means that Fletcher was so brokenhearted that he basically married the next woman he dated.
Why do you say that?
Well, he and Emma broke up 13 years ago, so if she's 10 and you add 9 months for the pregnancy, you only have 2 years and 3 months. So unless he was just doing the right thing after an oops baby, her mom was probably the first girl that he seriously dated after Emma.
Depends on who you ask.
And Emma's getting a talking to as well. See, Thomas tells her that Fletcher's mom told Fletcher to quit being a little bitch and tell her how he feels. And Emma's like, but he likes the hot chick. And Thomas tells her that she has a long-term boyfriend.
I really want to impress Fletcher. He's pretty cute, don't you think?
She's very loyal to Brad.
Well, that's not true.
Poor. You understand? Poor.
Wait.
See, that was them rehearsing the new lines that she hasn't got around to reading yet. And them being in his closed hotel room was just for some extra one-on-one time in a 2-person play.
What a coincidence.
But it seems that the 2 actors are the only ones in the whole town that can't make it to the show tonight. So Noel suggests that Fletcher and his ex with crippling stage fright take over the roles.
Let's not disturb her. She probably has work to do.
Fletcher rushes over to the hotel to find her, but she's already left with Thomas.
I thought the roads were bad.
Oh, only if you're an actor.
Aren't you supposed to be on stage?
And because of this, they hold off canceling the play and make all these people wait while the storm rages on because they're waiting on a woman to show up that should already be there by now and might turn him down due to her crippling stage fright. But as Fletcher readies to tell them to go home, she walks in and is like, I'm in costume, I'm ready, let's do this. Even though no one has told her that the actors couldn't make it.
So you made a decision for both of us without even talking to me?
Doesn't she have really bad stage fright?
Shut up. Love conquers all or some crap.
I am a fierce warrior.
Oh, and the designer guy sneaks in the back for dramatic effect, and he gives them the watch.
Is it like really cool?
Oh, no idea. We never get to see it.
Cheap piece of shit.
So they go up and sing the song she wrote.
Songs were too good. You can't just play a recording of them.
And Fletcher plays the piano, despite him insisting that she had to be the one to play it. And then her character tells his character that she loves him. But Fletcher forgets what his character in his own play is supposed to do, and ruins the ambiguous ending that everyone said was the best part of the whole thing because he gets caught up in the moment. So she and Lola both know that he's just telling her how he feels. He even takes it a step further and tells her, I never stopped thinking about you, even when I was married to what's-her-name. And then they kiss.
I think Margot and Arthur end up together, don't you? I don't know.
And when the crowd claps, they're like, oh, right, we're on stage. So Thomas assumes that that's the end of the play and goes up to thank everybody for attending the last night of the festival. But the designer stops filming horizontally for social media and says that he's going to fund the festival from now on. And somehow, he knows that the theater is going to shut down too, so they tell him to go look for Noel. But Thomas is like, the city owns the building. And then everyone looks up at Noel, and Thomas is like, hey, that's the guy that convinced me to start banging Fletcher's mom. But he said his name was Mitch.
You just do it all, don't you?
Wow, you're one busy guy.
Oh, yes.
Oh, he's one of the Christmas ghosts.
Well, a Christmas ghost punishes people.
Sometimes you have to slap them in the face just to get their attention.
He's more of a Christmas angel where he helps people remember what makes them happy.
Well, I like to believe that there is someone always watching over us, guiding us and pointing us down the right path.
That's the man who persuaded me to start painting again, Mitch.
The next morning, the designer comes to offer a job at his company in New York, but she's not sure if she can leave such a supportive boss.
Don't be so diplomatic. You did it all.
But Fletcher comes in and says that his play was such a hit, even though they couldn't figure out what century they're in.
We're trying to do a jazz-influenced Joy to the World.
I love the author.
That they want him to open it on Broadway.
What?
So Emma says, screw it. I'm only getting this job because I accidentally sent an email and not based on my talent. But I'll be with the man I love and his weirdly Canadian-British daughter.
I can't talk to my dad about it.
I don't think you realize it, but you have a very bad accent.
She then gives him the watch back, which might have had more impact if she hadn't told him she found it.
I live to make you happy.
And then they kiss in front of the whole family, and it doesn't make anyone uncomfortable at all.
That's beautiful.
But who knows why they're at the B&B instead of one of their houses since they're all local.
But if he's an angel, how did she get the watch?
The owner of the shop just gave it to me. It was weird.
Oh no, she stole that fucking watch.
Am I in trouble? Are you sure I have money?
We are all about community.
Hitting the subscribe button
Is mandatory.
Just give it a chance.
You won't regret this.
I promise. Should I get you a cup of hot cocoa to go?
Bye.